Yeah, like I was saying, I think like going back to the whole conspiracy of the whole New World Order thing, you know what I mean, and what's kind of going on today, and the direction in which the world is kind of heading in towards. It seems like we're going towards this whole world government, this whole idea of a world government, you know what I mean, a global government. And it seems like it kicked off ever since 9/11. That was kind of like the catalyst of it, you know what I mean, the beginnings of it, because ever since then the world has been kind of
flattened.
It's all sorts of shit's been going on. You know, it's been even look at what's going on right now on a global scale. You know, it's we're living in very kind of quite perilous times in a way. You know, in to a degree. You know, to a degree.
They're interesting times, that's for sure. You know, I
Yeah.
think like a lot of people, when they shut down, that's for sure. Especially with the virus, and they get the flu, and they get worried, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Because they got the flu, and this is meant to be a deadly thing,
Yeah.
And it just put a lot of fear into people, and not just. I just think it was no different to what other flus come out every year.
Yeah.
No different. I just think people got to do what they're told.
That's it. Yeah.
We all got to do what we're told, and we do it. And they make a lot of money from it. They must make a lot of money from the mask,
Yeah.
and all the rubber gloves and things.
Oh yeah, all the PPE, all the jabs and stuff. Like all these different companies like Pfizer and Moderna and Janssen and all these different Johnson & Johnson and all these different companies, mate. They made billions off these vaccines and stuff. Off these jabs. Got to be careful what you say. Off the shots, call them the shots. Off the shots, they made quite a lot of money. So these companies, so like, well, they do anyway. That industry is a $1 billion industry, and you have to be very careful what you say and how you approach dealing with that. Because there's a lot of people who have gone against the grain in regards to those industries, and believe it or whether you want to believe it or not, those people have disappeared. And we're not looking for that kind of trouble. But we're just speaking the realities of life and what really does go on. These people have made billions of dollars off these things.
And it's like, is this successful? Would I be successful? Yeah, if I owned a really big company, right? Yeah, and making loads of money, right? But it was making weapons.
Yeah.
And I was getting rich out of it,
Yeah.
And I was financially free, but I was just making a profit out of all that.
Yeah.
Is that success?
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel very comfortable myself.
Mm.
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put my name on it, let's put it that way.
Well, how could you put? Well, I guess some people don't care, but I've got the same kind of opinion as you. How can you put your name on something that you know is going to potentially take lives every single day?
Something that's nasty. And
whether or not it's you own a company that creates arms and ammunition and all that kind of stuff,
yeah.
or grenades or bombs or whatever, drones or whatever, these things are going to take the lives of, going to be used to take the lives of people.
I'm glad I don't work in any factories doing all that stuff and whatever, do you know what I mean? It's, you if you work in places like that, you come in home, going to bed, alright, and actually dreaming of that place,
But you know what's sad too though, right mate? Is that a lot of us, unknowingly, because I don't want people to get confused, a lot of us unknowingly give money to these corporations every day.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of these companies, like large companies that I can't say on camera because again it might bring some problems, but a lot of large companies that we buy their products every single day, in our shops and drinks and whatever else you want to name, and these companies give money to these corporations.
Yeah, probably. Probably, yeah.
So,
It is sick, and I think, like, again, success, like, going back to that, is, again, peace of mind and joy in the moment.
it is, yeah.
Right, but also filling your imagination with beauty, like, beautiful things, like, lots of different flowers and things, nature, trees, not tanks,
not,
like, I'm a person that is very against war because I love ants.
Mm.
Always have done, you know, and I think, hang on, you know, I'm trying to save my ants here, you know.
And nature in general.
Yeah, you know, so I'm fighting every man to put their guns down.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just like, I just can't believe that we're living in a day and age, right, mate, where I just can't believe that we are supposedly so civilized, quote unquote, because I use that word very freely and very loosely, you know, but we're supposedly civilized, and we can't work out our problems just through communication, you know, trying to tell me that we're living in a day and age where people can't solve their problems,
money, innit?
resolve their problems,
we're
and all
living
this
in
kind
this
of things
money world,
without huge conflict and
well, we're living in
threats and all this kind of shit.
You know, like
What happened to conflict resolution? You know, years ago that was all used to. You know, I remember even growing up in the Caribbean, there used to be an ad all the time talking about conflict resolution. You know, how trying to find the saying was conflict resolution, peaceful solution, or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's like you're trying to say that we're living in this day and age where we're able to communicate on so many different levels, through so many different means, through so many different mediums, yeah? Through whatever it may be, that we cannot figure out a way to articulate our points and views and opinions to each other and have a dialogue and work it out through dialogue without having to result to a violent or, you know, a violent outcome or end or means or, you know. It's,
I think
it's ridiculous.
No.
How can we be civilized? How can we really be civilized then? You know, we're not civilized if that's the case. You know, if we can't even figure out as human beings how to live peacefully and coexist without wanting to kill each other.
Yeah, birds go on, don't they?
Over a lot of the stuff too. A lot of the stuff is usually ridiculous shit. You know what I mean? And sorry, I didn't mean to say remedial. I meant to say ridiculous. You know, it's a lot of like people are at war and fighting over all sorts of stupid shit. You know,
you know, you got to think, right?
Meaningless
money,
stuff. You know,
money, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, money causes a lot of problems between people and families.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like you know, families fall out.
Yeah.
Because they owe money to each other or whatever, you know, or they ain't good in the back and.
Friends fall out too as well over
friends
money.
Fall out over money.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful.
You know, money's invisible. You know, and you know, a bit like the imagination and a bit like the past in a way. Yeah. You know, we've all got like if I looked at someone walking past, I wouldn't know how much money they had.
Yeah.
Really, you know, unless they told me.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a visible power, and you know, like somebody that's walking past, right, even though he might look like a tram, might be a millionaire.
Yeah.
You know, so you just do not know. And somebody with looking rich might be poor.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, so it's
perception.
It's all perception out there, but money is a very, you know, some people have got a very lot of money around them, you know, and it's quite dangerous in a kind of way. These people meet other people with a lot of money as well, you know, and they decide to do things together, you know, so, you know, and then their money forces join together in a way.
Yeah, they end up conspiring to do,
And then sort of like, you know, these money pockets get more, you know, there's lots of different money pockets all around the world, do you know what I mean? And they're all kind of fighting each other, and sometimes some bank don't pay another one back and things like that, and that causes anger. You know, and this is what it's really all about, really, you know, like land and all this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, why does like one man own some land and 100 people don't?
Yeah.
You know, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, birds don't pop all back. We're not here for long.
Yeah.
You know, and then this land is inherited as well, right? So somebody might be rich today because his great-great-granddad was rich 1,000 years back.
Yeah.
And things, you know, or 2,000 years back. These people were inheriting their money from 2,000 years back.
Yeah,
today.
some people,
They got so much money, they're like gods today, you know.
Yeah.
And people can't touch you, you know, because, you know, they pay for army, you know, around them and all that.
Well, etc.
You know, to protect them.
Yeah.
Or,
well, a lot of these people are invisible.
Yeah.
They live in the shadows, but these are the ones who attend these large meetings like the Bilderberg meetings and the you know Trilateral Commission meetings and the people that go to Bohemian Grove and all these kind of different people. You know, these people who are very, very, very powerful people that really make all the big decisions in the world and have a lot of influence and a lot of power, and what they say kind of goes, and people have to go according to it and implement what they say, otherwise they get rid of them and put someone else in there who will fulfill their agenda. But a lot of these people, they stay in the shadows, mate. That's why they call them the puppet masters, if you see what I mean. They're the ones that kind of pull the strings, the ones that stay in the background that no one ever sees or really ever hears about or really ever gets interviewed or seen on the television, or what people talk about them on the radio or whatever. They stay kind of anonymous, but they're the ones who are really running shit, if you see what I mean. You know,
I mean, as long as somebody's got real loads of money, right, loads of people working for that guy, those people are gonna be quite happy working for him too, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're getting paid well.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even like the dollar, and we've got like sterling here, and we've got different money powers going on, and they're always, you know, sometimes like one might get more powerful than the other, you know. In every country, like for instance, say America used to be the richest country in the world.
Yeah.
And then say it's the next one, China or something, whatever, I don't know what order. But everyone's got an order where you've got the richest country and then the poorest, you know.
Yeah.
But that changes every year.
Yeah, yeah, that fluctuates.
It fluctuates, you know.
Depending on the economies.
And then also, for instance, like kings and queens and that, you know, like for instance, if a princess married a prince from England.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, the lands, you know, it is.
Sometimes their wealth gets combined.
Well, you know, it's a complicated world we're
system.
living in. It's complicated, you know, and the public are just normal people, you know, citizens, whatever.
Yeah.
And you've got all these big, powerful people doing their thing. You know, I think, anyway, you know, and we don't know what's going to happen. It's like a big game of chess to them.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like a game of chess and Monopoly and checkers combined.
Yeah, and they're playing the next move slowly, and you know, it's a slow chess game, you know. I think everyone's being punished.
Well, I think what it is that these people. It's almost like these people. They get a thrill and a satisfaction out of increasing their power, you know, getting more and more power, because it gets to a point where these people are so wealthy, and they have so much wealth, and it's not about money anymore, if you see what I mean. It's no longer about money, because they've already got all the money that they can, more than enough money for 10 lifetimes, if you see what I mean, plus their family's lifetimes, and they've got influence and all this kind of thing. It just comes down to power. At some point, it gets to a point where some of these people are so rich, so powerful, that what they hold on to and what they grasp and what they yearn to have more of is power, if you see what I mean. They want to be more influential, more, you know, just, you know, whatever, you know, just, you know, it's sometimes greed and these kind of things can kind of poison a person, you know, a person's soul, you know, if you're not careful, you know. Some people can be so driven to the point that it's unhealthy, if you get what I'm trying to say, where the only satisfaction they get out of life is becoming more powerful, which is obviously very prideful, very egotistical, very...
There's some people got mental health problems, you know, and they don't know who
True.
you are.
Yeah.
You know, like some people are
narcissistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like some leaders have been that, you know, and they're nasty people, you know, they got no compassion, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe Hitler.
Well, I think another word you could use as well, alongside narcissistic, you could, for some world leaders we've had have been sadistic. If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, sadistic.
But they might have other personality problems too, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like
but
bipolar
the thing is too, is that a lot of these people too, though, mate, right, is that a lot of these people who are in these positions of power, sometimes they have to go through a lot of stuff too to get to these positions of power.
Oh yeah.
If you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but they've probably got power.
They have to go through. Sometimes they have to be part of certain clubs. Let's say, you know, because we don't want to. Again, we don't want to get in trouble. you know, but they've got to be a part of certain clubs and certain fraternities, let's say, and go through certain rituals and certain doors, if you see what I mean, in order to get where they are. You see what I mean? And a lot of times people have things on them that they can blackmail them with and all these kind of things. So they end up not having any choice but kind of being obedient and to kind of do what they're told when they're in that position of power, because people have things on them that they could use to kind of destroy them and their career and whatever else, you know. So they're even more controllable because you know, these people sometimes put them in positions of power and put them in strange positions and then, you know, take photographs of them, you know. Like even emerged a few years ago that David Cameron, you know, when he, you know, a picture emerged of David Cameron put his penis in a pig's mouth.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, a few years ago it was.
I'm glad I don't watch the news.
A few years ago it was in the newspapers and on the television that some picture after David Cameron had finished being, you know, after he'd left office and he was no longer Prime Minister, some kind of scandal emerged where apparently he was part of some kind of fraternity and he was, you know, this is one of the things that he had to do was put his penis into a pig's mouth, and he, you know, someone took a photograph or something, or, you know.
I have to Google that one.
Yeah, so that's, yeah, so, but sometimes, like I said, what I was trying to say though, you know, all that aside, what I was really trying to say is that sometimes these people have to go through things, different doors, and make certain decisions to get to certain places where they are, you know. You know, because as one of my favourite comedians used to say, rest in peace to George Carlin, he used to say, it's one big club, and you and I, we are not in it. You know what I mean? It's, you know, it's, you know.
Well, I don't really, with like politics and all that and all the news and that, I don't really bother watching it anymore. You
Likewise,
know,
I haven't done for a long time, many years.
I decided I don't want to be going to sleep tonight and dreaming of Boris Johnson or anyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Trump.
It's all an illusion, really, though, mate. It's all that is really an illusion.
I wouldn't want Donald Trump jumping in my dreams, you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, it's not even that, it's just like they regurgitate the same old shit all the time. It's the bad news. That's what it is. I should call it the bad news, like we say all the time. Because when you get the news, you don't ever get anything that's good. They don't highlight anything that's good most of the time. 98% of it will be the bad news. This is what's happened, this is what's happened, this is what's happened, this person's died, that's what's happened, something else tragic's happened, some robberies happened, whatever, something. So there's never any good news, hardly ever. So why don't they call it the bad news? Why don't they say on the, because even like we talked about last time, when they introduce the news, they're always talking about, let's see what's happening on the world stage today. For them, the world is a stage, you know, and they have the narrative. They paint the narrative.
They try to put the things on the stage, you see.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, personally, if I worked for the BBC, right, I was a manager now, I'd put a good news there, yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
But it's always bad news, isn't it? So why it's always bad news? But if you, I don't know if it's just me that's caught onto that, or kind of like it's like people like don't ever analyse it. You always get it's just always bad news. So why don't they call it bad news? Why is it called the news? It's not the news. It's just you've highlighted a certain amount of things that you've chosen to speak about.
Bad fake news.
And some of it is fake news.
It's
some
all
of it,
bad fake news.
Not all of it. Not all of it. But it's always bad news. So it should be called the bad news.
I'll tell you what. I'd put good news on it, right, and let them have bad news, right, and say call it bad news, right. I'm gonna have good news channel, yeah. And on my news, it's gonna sort of have.
Highlight all the good shit.
All the good stuff, yeah, in life. Like,
oh, this person saved this person from drowning today.
Yeah.
Oh, this person, you know, helped this person who was in a car accident, freed them from their car while it was about to burst into flames on the freeway or something.
Yeah, or kangaroos have been saved from extinction and things like that, you know, like animals and things like that. Put animals in it, put flowers in it, you know?
Yeah.
You know, let's have some good news.
That's some good, yeah.
You know, let's say...
That's what I'm saying, it's programming, mate. It's this pessimistic programming of trying to... They want people to exist at the lowest vibrational frequency, which is fear-based, yeah? Which is a fear-based programming.
Happy.
So they want you to be in fear, or kind of worried, or anxious, and all this shit all the time, you know? Yeah. But we reject that. We reject that, you know what I mean? That's why we don't watch that shit anymore. We don't listen to it, or we don't consume it, or whatever. We don't believe half of what they say, because it's bullshit, you know? That is the reality, you know?
Just be like a duck, you know, don't wear a mask.
You've got to take it all with a grain of salt, as they say, you know?
Yeah.
because
Crazy.
it's always bad news. It's always, oh, this is what's happened, this is what's happened, this is what's happened. So why,
Maybe we should.
ever since I've been a child, every time I have ever watched the news, I remember even as a child, one of our things we had to do in primary school is watch 1 week's worth of news and write a report about it for English or something. Yeah, I remember watching the news and it was always bad shit.
Isn't that terrible?
If you see what I mean, it's always, oh, this person was murdered today, oh, this car accident happened today, oh,
How old were you then? Can I ask?
I can't remember, mate. Probably about 7, 8 years
Oh, you're
old or
joking.
something. 7 years, yeah,
Can
something
you
like that.
imagine, yeah, can we just sort of say, yeah, like, kids, yeah, you want them to all be happy, don't you, yeah?
Yeah.
So the teacher says, right, you've got to watch news, watch
Every day for a week, yeah.
and write something about it, alright, yeah?
Yeah.
So you're writing, you're watching the news, whatever, all night, and watching all the murders or whatever, and you think, oh, right, that.
Yeah.
So it's a bad memory.
Yeah.
And and that kid's got a bad memory now, and he's spent hours writing this, and it's sort of ruined his day. He could have been out in the park enjoying himself, for God's sake, What?
Yeah.
Goodness me, that's crazy.
That's crazy, yeah.
That's torture.
Yeah.
What they've done to that, yeah.
But I'm just saying it's programming. It's just this. They want people to exist on this fear-based, low vibrational programming, and a lot of the time, they're not actually talking about what's really going on what's really actually happening in real life every single day. I mean, they're only highlighting a few select issues that they've chosen to speak on or chosen to address or to, investigate and have journalists speak on it or whatever the case may be. But it's it's selective news. And it's.
Yeah, so I'd rather.
When you control the narrative, you control what people think, don't you? If you see what I mean, to a degree. People that subscribe to it.
I used to watch news quite a lot, do you know what I mean? Especially when war started and all that, Twin Towers, yeah. It's really got me, and then I got really bored of it, alright? All there was, they were just, the cameramans were actually on the tanks, following them around, and it was sort of like 24-hour news of what's going on in Iraq or whatever.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it when I saw Iraq getting blown up like that, do you know what I mean? And there's kids there.
Yeah.
There's the children sort of like, and I thought, I can't work it out, but anyway, and I was watching it for, it's probably why my ex-wife divorced me. Watching the news a lot, and I was depressed. But
well, I think back then that was making a lot of people depressed.
It
and
was.
shit, and the fact that it ended up coming out, it ended up emerging that people coming out and saying that it was an inside job and shit like that, and people, it's like, what the fuck, trying to tell me that they actually, did this shit on purpose, to fulfill an agenda. It's like, it's ridiculous, and the people then have to suffer for it, globally, and have to be indoctrinated with the media and the news that comes along with it, Why didn't they talk about Building 7? Why didn't they talk about World Trade Center Building 7 that came down the same day? A few minutes just before it all happened, that came down demolition style. Nothing hit that or anything else. That just there is video of it online, and if you find it, it will show you that the building just fell down like this, just collapsed, like a Jenga, Jenga game. If you see what I mean, just collapsed downwards. Yeah, it was they detonated that and exploded it. And then not long after that, the so-called 9/11 happened. And old Bin Laden, who used to work for the CIA, under the name Tim Osmond, he used to work for the CIA. His name was Tim Osmond, yeah. And he was the one that they blamed for it all, and But I probably said too much, so got to be careful.
Yeah, I don't really like. So I like keeping away from all that stuff. You know what I mean? To be honest with you. Like I say, news, it's horrible. But just get it off.
Yeah.
Get it off.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear it anymore.
But isn't it funny? 10 years before that, before 2001, in 1991, when his father, George Bush Senior, was in power, he was talking about the New World Order. We're going to bring about a New World Order. 10 years later, on the same date. Same date, 9/11.
Yeah.
Same thing happens,
I don't know, I think it'll come around somehow in the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. What comes round goes round.
Yeah. it's crazy, mate, the world that we live in, you know, and, you know, the agendas of these people who, you know, who really control what's going on, you know, the societal structure of what happens in the world today, you know, and the lives that people have to live, you know, in the society that exists, you know. Yeah, it's just sad that we can't just live in a world where everyone's got a right to, you know, a good life, and a right to a house, and a right to everything, you know, a right to, you know, an education, a right to a house, a right to a peaceful, safe environment, a right to, you know, just everything that they need, if you see what I mean. You know, there's more than enough food, there's more than enough everything for everyone globally to have somewhere nice to live, you know, and, you know, food in their cupboards, and, you know, all the resources that we need to survive and live our lives as human beings. You know, there's more than enough of that on a global scale for everyone. So we should all be able to have and live a decent life. You know, we don't have to have a huge financial divide, you know, amongst people. Why is there people that have X amount of $1 billion and people out there that have zero and are homeless? It makes no sense.
I'd say like money, alright,
it just makes no
sense.
When
the money,
there's no balance.
You know, like man invents things now and again, like the wheel,
Yeah.
Then they invented money,
Yeah.
Right, and so they put rules around it, and they can change those rules.
Yeah.
You know, around money, Like, for instance, you know, not allowed to steal it or whatever.
Yeah.
And they make some really powerful rules around money.
Yeah.
Okay? And like, they, you know, in government today, they could make rules on them, like they say the minimum wage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, they never put the maximum wage on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would be the key, I think, you know, answer to everything. All right. But the rich man won't do that one, right? Because you don't want to lose anything. Yeah. Yeah. And the rich people are in power now. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's about the power.
Right, yeah. And they won't, like, let's say the minimum wage was £6, £10 an hour, and the maximum wage was £50 an hour, right, and that was it, and it doesn't matter what you did, right, you just got £50 an hour, and that would balance things out a bit, right, it would stop people getting rich, and also how much people were allowed to own. They're not allowed to own 2 houses, you know, things like that, you know. There should be certain rules around money, you know, and the rules around them, there's no rules around it, really, you know, proper rules. It just gives rich people power to earn more, really, you know, whatever, you know, what we've got today.
Yeah.
You know, they need to really put a cap on top of it and say, look, we need to stop people getting powerfully rich like they do, £50 an hour, you know, whatever. That's what I personally think, anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just it balance things out.
Yeah.
You know?
We've got to have more of a less of a divide, because we can't. Why are we living in a world today where there's people that are homeless and don't have anything to eat, or struggling and suffering or starving, or whatever the case may be, when there's people that have hundreds of billions of pounds or dollars or whatever you want to say? Like, it makes no sense. Like, you know, there's got to be a way that we can even out the scale so that everyone has the right to a decent life. It should be a human right that everyone is entitled to a nice house, shelter, and food and water, and, you know, whatever else, you know, somewhere they can have a bath. Sorry. No, I was just going to say that we should, as a human, you know, just as a basic human right, people should be entitled to these things. You know, we shouldn't have people who are missing meals every day. I don't know where their next meal's going to come from. While there's people out there that are living a life, living on a 200-foot yacht. You know what I mean? Eating caviar and drinking endless bottles of champagne, and you know, the divide is too far. It's too far between.
Well, it's silly, isn't it? It's not.
There has to be a divide. Don't get me wrong, and there always will be. But there needs to be more of a balance where people are looked at. People are looked after better by the people that are supposedly supposed to govern them. Yeah.
Of course, you know, we're all, you know, like, personally, I want other people to be happy.